My name is Thione Niang. I am originally from Kaolack, Senegal. Kaolack is a city 3 hours away from Dakar. Dakar is the capital of my home country. I grew up in a large, poor family of 28 brothers and sisters. A polygamy family. And growing up through that family, very early on, I looked at my mother every morning and saw a beautiful woman, but very sad, with a lot of pain, having not to be able to feed her children, but also the competition in the house, going through to have to share your husband, and then the competition with the wives. This brought a lot of frustration to me very early. I moved on with my grandfather, a wise man, poor, but gave me all the wisdom that I needed in the world. At the young age, at 16, I left to go to Dakar to finish my high school. Then I dreamed up to go to the United States. I wanted to go to America to make life better for my family, for my mother first, then my brothers and sisters. I heard of a country that maybe I can get an opportunity, but maybe my family don't have to call up a minister, or you don't have to have somebody who got money to make it. In 2000, after many tries of trying to get a visa, I got denied 4 times. And I finally landed in the Bronx, in New York, where I started cleaning tables, like many immigrants do when they come home, when they come here, work and try to make ends meet. The first thing was to get a job ASAP so I can make sure my mother is fine. In the Bronx, I did 3 months there cleaning tables. Then I had to move to Cleveland, Ohio, because I had to go to school there. I started in a small community college with 2 jobs at the Marriott Hotel, cleaning tables, and sending money home, try to do my payments in school, and try to just keep my head above the water. Somehow, through the mix of that in Cleveland, I got into teaching French on the side in a community school called International Preparatory School. That job has woken me up because it's in the east side of Cleveland, where I found a lot of young African Americans, 14, 15-year-olds, my students, going to jail, in and out. I started asking myself, what can I do to make a difference in this great city that's already giving me a lot? Because many of those young people are left with a single family, a single mother, trying to make ends meet with 4 jobs, taking care of them, and most of those young men don't have no mentor or role model. On top of that, I saw, if you remember 2003, 2004, that's when our economic meltdown happened in the United States. I saw some of my friends losing their homes in Cleveland. And if you know Cleveland, Ohio is where most of our jobs was coming from those factories that were sent to China, to Asia. When most of those factories closed, people couldn't pay their mortgages, so many people lost their jobs. Again, I asked myself, what can I do? So I started volunteering in campaigns, city council members first, to help elected officials who can support, who can represent not only few, but a lot, or everyone. I started with city council members such as Kevin Conwell in the east side of Cleveland, 2 years, volunteering, knocking on doors, not getting paid for it, to the mayor's campaign, to the senator's campaign, not knowing the importance of Cleveland or Ohio in American politics. I had no idea. So when you give sometimes, you might not see what you're going to receive till later, to many young people that are watching. So I got involved in the Young Democrats and became the first African American to run the Young Democrats of the major county, Democratic county in Ohio. Then something happened when I was running a campaign for a state senator named Shirley Smith. She introduced me to Senator Obama in 2006. A few months later, the president wanted to run for office. I joined his campaign as a community organizer, running around the country, running around the states, crossing America, try to elect a president that I believed can bring the change that I believed in. Something happened the day after inauguration. President Obama invited us in this room like this, to all of the staff members, in a staff ball, and he told us, what are you going to do now with all of this energy? It's because of you that I got elected as the first African-American president in the United States. Early mornings and late nights, you've put in a sacrifice, and he was right. The reason why I'm here. Now, what are you going to do with that energy? Some can come and help me bring the change we've promised to the American people in Washington, or even go around the world and help change the world. When he said that, I remembered growing up in Cowlack with my grandfather. God bless his soul. Sometimes 4 days, 5 days in our house, we had no food. I lost him because of hunger. I remember he was sick for 5 days. We couldn't find rice to feed him. That's how I lost him. And I knew there's millions of young people across the world that night who will never have the opportunity that I had. From the time I lost my grandfather of hunger, to me sitting around the President of the United States, of helping to make history in our generation, is only 10 years. And I knew there was young people out there who will never have that opportunity. I said to myself, what can I do to build these bridges? So there's millions of young people like me who grew up in poverty, who will never know when their next meal will come, who will never know when their next opportunities will come, who might be losing their grandfather also, or their mom, or their brothers or sisters of hunger, of energy, or lights, or nothing. I will help to do something about it. So from that night on, I was not looking to do many things. I just wanted to give a project to somebody, help somebody realize their dreams. So I started Give One Project. 6 years today, Give One Project is my foundation, my nonprofit. It is in 32 countries. From working with young people in Japan, to working with young people in El Salvador, in Guatemala. Those young people I met through there all the way to Mexico, who are just trying to get onto the beast, the train, that train they call the beast, to cross the dangerous borders, try to come to the United States of America looking for opportunities that you got. Many of them die across that border. Many of them, those women got raped. I met so many of them. And all they're looking for is opportunity. To those young people that I just met last month in Ceuta, in the border of Morocco and Spain, where young Africans across the continent are traveling to try to cross the ocean to go to Europe looking for opportunities. Last year was the deathless year of young people we lost in the Mediterranean Sea trying to go to Europe for opportunities. I met them there living in the bushes in so many difficult conditions that you cannot explain to somebody. So we are the lucky ones. You here in this room tonight are the ones, no matter how hard you work to be here, you are the lucky ones. We are. Because we have done anything that really made us to just be born in this side of the world, that we're not going through what people are going through across the world. Right now, if this stopped working, the lights, or the mic, or you go home, there's no warm water, there's no light at your house. I want you to imagine just for one day, you go home, there's no light there. You will be shocked and frustrated. But the news I'm bringing to you today is that billions of people across the world today are living in the dark. We'll never know what are the benefits of energy. In my continent, in Africa, 630 million people are living in the dark. Very recently, I was inaugurating a village in Mali, Kai, far down with my partner, Akon. And an old man got up and cried and told me, you know, because of your solar lights that you brought here, my children are able now at night to go outside under the light and study. That tells me right away that without lights, there's no education. Without energy, you have no education. I went through it. I remember my grandfather used to wake me up early in the morning because that night before, he didn't have a quarter to buy a candle for me to be able to just do my homework. And very recently, we were in Benin with the Prime Minister, drove 4 hours away past Cotonou, Akon and I. And when we went to inaugurate, a lady got up and told us, I'm selling mangoes and fruits to support my family. I'm selling mangoes and fruits to send my children to school. Because of your lights, I can sell at night now till 9 in the evening. Before we got there, at 6 o'clock when the sun goes down, the economy stops. So when there's no energy, there is no economy. In the 5 villages of Kenya, Maasai villages that we electrified, women who at night, if they have to give birth, cannot go to the clinics because there's no lights, told us the same thing. Remembering these stories is the essence of why in 2013, when my partner Akon came to see me in Washington in a gathering like this, where I had almost 200 young people from around the world in the White House, opening those gates for them so they can dream higher, to know they can do anything. Akon and I decided we're going to do something about the energy crisis in Africa to make life just a little bit better for some. Today, Akon Lighting Africa is in 16 countries in Africa, touching millions of families. And we wanted to do a little more than just giving lights. Job creation was important to us. So we opened up what we call the first solar academy in Mali that is training young Africans. Because I remember us going to China, negotiating with our Chinese partners, and they tell us, you know, each country we're going to bring 200 or 300 workers. We say, well, I don't think that's the good idea, because 65% of young Africans are under 30 years old, and with no jobs, with no training. So we decided we're going to train them to do the work, to put the lights on, and then do the maintenance. Because of that decision, today we are 5,200 young people are working for us in the continent. Why am I telling you all of these stories? I'm telling you these stories to tell you that the world is unequal. And this new generation, have to ask ourselves, what kind of world that we want to live in? What kind of world that we want to leave for our children and our grandchildren? We can do something about it. We can do something about it by first starting in us. Each one of us is wealthy. Each one of us has something that's so special in you that if you touch it, if you acknowledge it, you find it in you, and then you convert it, you can not only amaze the world, but you can change the world. I was just a kid who thought somehow I have nothing. But I realized later that nothing I don't have is something to someone. And all of you, that something that you think you don't have is the greatest thing to someone looking for it. How can you take that something you think you don't have and convert it into the blessing, being a blessing to someone? That's the question that I want everyone to ask themselves. Why are you here? What role will you play? Because there's some we remembered in history, and we don't remember because of the cars they've driven, the degrees they had, the money they left in their bank accounts. There's a young man named Lee Kuan Yew at the age of 36, took on his country, Singapore, with all the challenges that was left, and turned it into the Singapore that we know today. Benjamin Franklin was 36 when he was starting to write the Constitution of the United States of America. Nelson Mandela, at 31 years old, joined the ANC movement to liberate his country, which cost him later on 27 years of his life. Dr. King was only 22 when he joined the civil rights movement. Actually, he passed only at 39 years old with everything that he's done. There's something about young people changing the course of history and young people with paradigm shift. If you look at history, everything that's changed has changed through young people. So, if we want a better world for ourselves, or a better world for the children, our children, and their children to come, the time has come now that we have to ask ourselves, what we are doing, is it really touching people? The work we are doing, is it participating in making life better for others, or is it only helping us? Because those who thought that it was only helping us, or the no-sayers in the past, in the end, what we remembered was those who made the sacrifice to make life better for others, not the other way around. This is what make my life work today. I believe the greatest investment one can make is in young people. Because I believe they are the seeds that we need to water, who will end up giving us the fruits that we need. But young people of today, I will tell you what President Roosevelt said in his inauguration in 1933. He said to Americans, to young Americans, that this generation of young Americans has rendezvous with history. But this generation of young people here in Canada and across the world, we have rendezvous with history. And the question is, what will history say about us? Did we fight to make sure that we focus on our commonalities, celebrate our differences, focus on bringing us together and fighting to make sure the world is just a little equal? Because we're in a world where more than 1 billion people are living under $1. And when we go right now, somebody's going to complain because they didn't get a job that they don't want. The things you take for granted, people are dying for. And who much is given, much is required. We can't continue to live in the world where just few people are doing well and the rest of the world are doing bad. I believe we all do well, then everybody will be good. But if few are doing well, we are all in trouble. This is why you see many young people can put bombs in themselves and just go and kill people just like that, because they have no hope. They've been in a position where they got nothing else to lose. We are stuck with each other because at the core, we share that human family, whether we want it or not. It is not the color of our skin that's going to divide us. As much as we want, it's not going to happen. You're not getting rid of none of us. We here. It's not our economic backgrounds because you got more money than the other that's going to divide us. Even if you want to, we are still stuck together. It's not because the other person come from this kind of families and the other one didn't. So this generation will have to answer the key question that tomorrow history will ask: what have we done for them? I know, and I'm grateful, that if it was not for the sacrifices of Rosa Parks and such like Dr. King and such, I will not do what I've done in the United States or around the world today. And I know President Obama should be knowing if it was not those sacrifices, he wouldn't be here. We young Americans have sacrificed to put President Obama in office, not for him, but for us. But the question now is, what are we continuing to do to make sure that those generations coming after us will say, because of them, I'm here. This is my fight. And this is a fight of an eternal optimist who believe that somehow I will succeed in it. With my young people that I'm training in Canada here, with those young people that I'm training, giving opportunities in entrepreneurship and global leadership programs, in women empowerment projects all across Japan, in Mexico, in Senegal, in France, in Italy, across the United States. Those young people, I know and I'm sure that if I fail to make it, one or two of them will be able to pick up the fight and continue to give opportunities to more people across the world. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.